Now, Dylan, you probably can't, the perspective of how much elevation there is right here is probably not great to the viewer, but it's kind of, this is an area that when we bring, like if we had an ATV with a sprayer on the back, how many of you have driven an ATV, just a little four-wheeler, and you have a 25-gallon sprayer on the back? This is an area where I'd be really leery and it'd be dangerous bringing it through, because you go over one 4-inch rock that's sticking over the ground, it'll probably flip you. It's where you're at, and you'd have to lean into the side, and that's how steep it is in this location. It's one of the reasons why we don't want to till or disc. It's very hilly around here. You've heard me tell the stories about the ag fields that are just right up above, eroding down into this land. This used to be ag right here. There's a terrace right there. So they used to plant this strip, and then all the topsoil washed down in there, and that's why there's big rocky erosions and ditches. It's crazy the amount of erosion that's happened down there. And we haven't seen it the years that we've been here. The neighbors haven't seen it, because once you stop planting all this area, it stopped that erosion from coming down. So our food plots and a lot of the locations we're planting are on these edges, and that's one of the reasons why we have to be very careful that we're not disking, tilling, plowing, because we're just going to lose a bunch of soil, and we have to come up with smarter ways to do this and keep them rotating. Another reason is we don't want to dry out the soil, but at the same time we don't want to work the soil up because it exposes weeds. This is so critical when it comes to planting switchgrass in the spring. People had great weed control the year before, and then they go in the spring and you disc and you plow and you till and you expose weed seeds, and that's a very bad thing to do. It's like you did a great job here, and then you get into the spring and you disc or till, and now you're setting yourself backwards, and it's a really bad thing to do. And honestly, I was talking to Dylan right before we shot this, and I because he's had some questions on this lately, but I think people want to use their tractors. It's like, you want to use your tractor, so we got to go out and disc and till. It's fun. I had over 500 hours on a Kubota 48 horse tiller, brush hog, front end loader, cab. That was back in the 2000s, and I loved going out and just tilling, and enjoyed it. It was enjoyable to go out there, but I don't want to do something just to enjoy a piece of equipment and going out. There's other things I can do to relax. And I wanted to show this because it's a really good example. This is one of our locations. This is a bench plot. It's flat, so we're going to plant it, and then it goes super steep right there, even steeper than going uphill over there. It's even more steep right there. So we're kind of like planting on the edge, if that makes sense, right here, but we're doing it in a long strip. This will be a clover field, and that's even another thing. If there's any chance of erosion here, the clover will keep it from washing down. We're going to establish that perennial. It'll be here, clover. We'll maintain it for a decade or more. We have rye on it to hold the soil going into the spring. Another thing, rye helps limit weed growth, and a lot of this rye was planted. This is rye that was planted last fall, so it's coming in. You can see right here where two things. We didn't have the rye here, and this is one of our sites about where Dylan's at, where we had one of our dog-proof traps for catching raccoons and possums, for getting those nest robbers out. And so for that, we'd come right in off this trail, we'd turn, we'd go right here, we'd take care of the raccoon or bait, we'd back out, back right up into here with the machine, back here, and then we go back up the trail to get out of here. What'd that do? It worked up the soil, and it exposed weed seeds. Look what happened. These are all weed seeds coming in. Lots of weed seeds. So when I came down here to analyze our clover catch from last fall, and a lot of times we'll come in here and we'll frost seed, or not in the case of frost seed, we're actually just we're seeding before it rains early, you know, sometime end of April, early May. Just I look at it and say, well, looks like we have a pretty decent coverage. You wait for it to start growing, and I might want to, instead of going through at 1.25 with the clover or perennial blend, I'll go through at 0.75 or 1 on the earthway spreader, so we're not putting out as much. I looked at this with Jen, and I'm like, man, this is terrible. It's all weeds and I hardly see any clover. Then you walk right over here, and this is a saving grace. This is all alfalfa various types of clover, bird's foot trefoil, chicory. It's all coming in right here with what it's supposed to, and very little weeds. You can look right here. It looks really, really good. You have the rye growing, and you have the intended targeted food plot crop coming in here. I added a little seed to this, and then I already killed this with clethodim to take the grass out and kill it, and we'll be left with a pure stand of really strong clover, chicory, bird's foot trefoil, and alfalfa. The difference over here, then you look back over here, very stark contrast. These are just the tracks on the Ranger that we have coming down in here in the wintertime on frozen ground, going back and forth. Maybe we came in here 15 times, 12 times, I don't know. We came in here, chewed it up, exposed weed seeds. There's no rye. Rye helps limit weed growth in the spring too, but then now we have those weeds. And so, you know, we're not disking or tilling because of the erosion problems, for drying out the soil, for bringing, if you plow too deep, you're bringing in poor soil 9 inches down, 7 inches down. I really want to work on that top layer. We just took soil samples over the weekend. We're going to send 15 soil samples in. And we're really only taking soil samples down to about 4 inches because that's the ground that we're working on. That's that topsoil. We don't want to take it down to 8 inches or 10. They even recommend doing so on the soil test, but Jim Islib, soil extension agent way back in the late 90s and early 2000s I worked with in the UP of Michigan, he taught me that if I'm only tilling 4 inches, that's the soil sample you take. If you're only going to till down 3 inches, that's the soil sample you take. And I mean, technically we have to take some kind of topsoil, so we're only going down about 4 inches. We take our soil test, but we're only working on that top layer, so I don't want to disc down, till down deep, bring in poor soil. I don't want to create erosion problems. I don't want to dry out the soil, but really one of the main reasons we're doing a lot of no-till is this right here. Every time you till, disc, plow the soil, you're bringing in weed seeds. And so we have to control our weeds. If I left this, if we had driven this over, lightly disked it for some reason, and left it like this weed crop would take over this area. And when it's all broadleaf coming in, it's really hard to take out of your perennial. You can use 2,4-DB, but that kills about everything but the clover. And I want bird's foot trefoil, chicory, alfalfa. The alfalfa is resistant to that, but we want to have more of a diversity. So weeds are bad, and this is an example of tilling. This is very light tilling. This is literally the tracks on the side-by-side on frozen ground, creating this right here. And look at the weed patch it left us for this year. So, and hey, by the way, I'd like you guys to see this in person. Our Father's Day charity event for Kicking Bear is on June 14th. There's still tickets available. It's $250. That gets you in the door prize for some incredible partnership prizes. Matthews Bow, Redneck Ghillie Blind, Packer Max, lots of reveal cameras, Family Tradition tree stands, First Light outfits, lacrosse boot certificates, all kinds of really good stuff. And we usually only have about 40 people coming, and every dime is given to Kicking Bear. You have a chance to enter into the $100 hunt raffle, get you into a hunt here with us, with Jen and I and the family for 3 days, the end of September. We house you, feed you, and we enjoy a really good time with you. So check out in the description the contact information for that. Every cent we make and more goes to Kicking Bear. And we've had a lot of private donations coming in for that. You're welcome to do that too. And Jessi can help you out with that. And I've left her contact information in the description. So thanks for watching.